Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us, mate. You've made an absolutely mental, sort of batshit crazy, fucking hilarious movie. So if that was your intention, well done.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks very much.
For someone that's all of these horror directors that have really cool surnames that are fit for horror. Like, is that your birth name, Kruger? Because that is the perfect name for
Yeah,
someone that makes these
yeah,
movies.
yeah. It's funny you used to say that. It is my birth name. My producer, David, he's just got married, and he's taken a bit of his surname and a bit of his wife's surname, which is actually now, which I thought he was joking. His surname is Frankenstein now. So, so I'm like, your kids are gonna get bullied without a doubt at school. But in a way, it's kind of funny that because we work together, it's going to be Kruger and Frankenstein are making these movies, which is pretty funny.
Marriage made in heaven, I reckon.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Just don't hang around any cemeteries. That's the only.
Yeah.
It's
That's the only thing.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So, mate, you've got to be a mad fan of street trash to want to remake it. Although I think the word remake is kind of loose. I want to talk about that as well. Like, what made you want to reimagine that particular movie?
It's one of those things. Everybody keeps asking me this, and it's funny because I was approached to do the film, so it was never like a pre thing where I wrote the script and wanted it to get made or anything like that. I knew of Street Trash. I grew up watching that movie. But when Fried Barry, my first movie, came out on Joe Bob's Last Drive-In, a lot of people was mentioning I would be a good person to remake that film. So then when I was asked by the producers to write and direct it, straight away I knew what the film was. But also at the same time, straight away, I wanted to do something completely different because you see, the thing is, there's lots of people that know about street trash,
Hmm.
and there's a hell of a lot of people that don't know what the hell street trash is. I wanted to make that loose sequel in the same world just later on. We actually mentioned the original film in this film. So for a new audience, it can be a standalone film. For fans, it's a loose sequel. If anything, we probably should have called the movie Street Trash Melt the Rich, because that was our tagline. We should have probably called it that. It would have been a little bit easier to explain to people.
He can always retcon it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's bring it all back.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that you were aware of street trash. Like, how old were you when you first saw the original?
Oh, I don't know. I was probably like 10 or something,
Perfect
something
age.
like that.
I was going to
Or
say
yeah,
the correct age to watch it for the first time.
yeah.
So one
And
thing I
it
love,
was
yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say the one thing I do love about the original, which you've done in this one, is that the gore is just colourful. Like, it is just hyper coloured, which means you can get away with so much more of it without sort of going over certain ratings, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, what was important for me was, as I said, to do more of a sequel and obviously to tick some of the boxes that, what the original film was. So obviously, I definitely wanted to do it around homeless people. I definitely wanted to do the prosthetics, in-camera prosthetics, which is a massive thing. And on top of that was that multicolored goo, which makes it street trash. So it was important, to tick those boxes. And apart from that, it was very much for me, I think what the original film lacked was, strong characters that you love and enjoy and want to go on this journey with. So I really wanted to make that a thing in this film that, we like all these characters and you want to go on a journey with them. And just a strong overall narrative. Because, you get a lot of these type of films that are made, of these like genre films. But the thing is, it's always the story or the acting falls flat. So, and it's just about the prosthetics. So I really wanted to make a strong film, even if there was no prosthetics in the film, that it would still be entertaining and it would still be good acting and a good story. So I think we achieved I think that we achieved that. And the gore in this movie is great. And we try to push it even more than the original. So yeah.
I want to talk about the Goop because when I'm watching it, all I'm thinking of is, what a pain in the ass it must be. Like fun, but what a pain in the ass and restrictive. Because I'm wondering how much can you afford to fuck up a take when you've got to sort of redress the set and clean it all up?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. And, there's a few things. One, the prosthetics, and two, we're shooting on film. So we actually shot the movie on 35 millimeter. So it's one of those, every time we did a major melt, we always had two cameras rolling at the same time. So to make sure we 100% capture it. And the way it was written almost was once we've got that melt, the story, carries on and doesn't really go back to that location again. So I guess it was all about like rehearsals and getting it right. And I think the fact that we were shooting, listen, I shot on film like 16 years ago or something like that for like a few short films. But I never thought I would shoot a whole movie on 35 millimeter. And I guess it's just rehearsals because you don't want to burn through film and just waste stuff either. But I think there was this respect and for just because we were shooting on film and discipline by everybody that were because when you're shooting on digital and you're trying to film, there's always somebody speaking throughout a shot in the background. Like, there's always like quiet, quiet, and then people will keep going. And with shooting on film, it was just like, we had our rehearsals and then, we'd take the shot. And everybody just, I guess, just brought their A game and was super disciplined that we didn't like fuck up any of the takes or anything like that.
But how long does if you have to go again? How long would that take to reset?
Um, Well, it was the thing where we had to do it a few times here and there, so it would all depend on the prosthetic.
Mm.
So obviously, we shoot it and maybe we didn't get the exact moment we wanted. So sometimes it would take about an hour or so, to reset. Sometimes quicker and sometimes maybe a bit longer, to get that exact reset the prosthetic, reset the tubes, reset the pressure of all the goo and blood. And at the same time, a lot of these actors that couldn't wait to be killed in this movie uh, also got to a point where it's winter, it's cold, we're shooting on film, it's going to take some time. The line on the concrete floor, they've got tubes dripping from them with cold blood or mushy goo and stuff like that. So it wasn't nice for these actors to go through that. But in the end, everybody was happy what they did. But it was cold, and it must have been very challenging to be melted in the winter. That's for sure.
I was going to ask, what was it like shooting in South Africa? How did that all kind of come about, and what was that like?
Well, originally the producers they wanted to shoot it in America as the original was shot in New York. But again, because I wanted to do something very different than the original film and play homage and nods to the original, but at the same time just to do something totally different and to make it South African. But not only that, in South Africa, you know, I I could stretch the budget like way more than in America. So I think that's the cool thing is that I can stretch that budget, get more melts, get more explosions, get more of everything that I can fit in there. So the money will go a hell of a lot longer. But I also got those lifelines where I can ring up Panavision or whoever I need to help me to whatever problem that I have, to help. And then in the States, all those phone calls would probably cost me a hell of a lot of money. So I think it was right to shoot it in South Africa and put a different spin on it, and also just bring an audience, something different instead of another American movie or trying to copy something else. It's nice to have your own flavor, and I think I think the world is still discovering South Africa slowly still. I think we're like, 20 steps behind you guys in a sense of I've always thought that I've always like loved like a lot of like Australian films,
Hmm.
and I've always thought like like Australia and other countries were a little bit behind America and in certain things with the industry, and I think England's a little bit behind
Mm.
America, and it just goes down. And I always think we've always been behind you guys, but obviously you guys love a lot of genre movies in South Africa. I know a lot of people that love genre movies, but as a country making that content, we don't make that type of content, which is annoying. And that's why when I made my first film, Fry Barry, it was definitely the first of its kind for South African cinema. And it's the same with Street Trash because we don't make these type of movies. South Africa is known for making dramas, slapstick comedy, which is not funny, and I guess
And Neil
these
Blomkamp.
poverty movies or apartheid movies and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And there's nothing wrong with those movies, but people in the film industry and natural film goers, they're sick of watching the same thing. They want something different. They want
Mm.
something new. And we do have the talents here to do all that. I think it's just been drilled into everybody's head that those type of films will not make money,
Yeah.
and they're 100% wrong. You just
Yeah.
got to get the right people to do them. And I think Fried Barry and Street Trash shows that it can work as it's playing all over the world. Most South African films don't even go out of South Africa. So it's yeah, it's a crazy like South Africa is very what's the right word? Um I can't think of the word, but they don't like the hectic,
Hmm.
crazy shit. They're quite
Bit laid back more.
yeah.
One thing I think also that sets it apart, Street Trash, from the American one is just the sense of humor, and that's something I think the South African sense of humor is very similar to the British, New Zealand, Aussie kind of sense of humor that the Americans do not relate to at all. What do you reckon it is about the humor? Is it like self awareness? What do you think makes it stand out?
I, I don't know. I think it's weird because you know about 10 or more years ago, I don't know when the American Office series came out,
Hmm.
because that's that was stolen from the English humor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That dry, witty humor, and America was never like that. So they've it's only over the last 10 years or more that they've started, to do that. So it's very, I guess, yeah, I guess it's very different. But what's interesting is, you know, sitting in America watching Street Trash with a crowd of people, they do get it, and they do laugh at I would say like 95% of the moments.
Mm.
And then when I went to England, because a lot of my humor is from originally from England and South Africa, obviously everybody laughed at all the right moments.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. But it also comes down to uh I always say sense of humor and personality. It's either for you or
Yeah.
it's not. It's better be silly. I don't take it too seriously. And it's a melt movie. I'm not trying to win an Oscar or anything like that.
I think a lot of people that horror fans that grew up with Peter Jackson's early films would really relate and tap into this one because I found a lot of that in there as well. In fact, my
Yeah.
favorite gag in this one is definitely the 12 o'clock tuck. I think that was hilarious.
Okay.
Ben knows it well.
It's all true stories, man. It's all true stories.
I'm at 4:15 right now, just so you know.
It makes sense. It makes
the
sense.
I love the little dance sequence during the fight training scene in the song. Oh, the song was great.
Yeah. And that song was written by Joe. It was a jingle for a commercial or something like that that Joe actually did. And then I think if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken, the dance was a dance that they both did in a theater show like years ago together. So So yeah, I thought that was cool and funny.
They
They
just brought
spent
it
years
back.
waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
So, as a just a movie geek in general, what do you reckon is the best gross out movie or few?
What is the best gross out movie?
Yeah, body melt sort of, movies along these lines.
Um, I always, I don't know, the hard one. I love, absolutely love The Fly, I
Mm.
guess.
Yeah.
David Cronenberg. I think it's always just been a great fucking movie.
It's super gross.
Yeah, when he goes up to the mirror with his finger and the pus comes out of it, that's
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
Love it.
I remember as a kid, I haven't spoken about this for a while. I think I mentioned it like years ago on a podcast. There was um there was that scene in The Fly where I think his like dick falls off and he just puts it in this glass jar in the in the mirror cabinet. And I remember just saying to my brother, going, was that his dick? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? How can his dick fall off? I was I was only a kid when I watched that. I was just like, that's like that's the end of the world, the end of your
And what
life.
became of it? We never knew.
Yeah, yeah,
It is
yeah,
it is a funny thing that I've noticed in a lot of movies where guys' dicks do fall off. They always keep the dick.
yeah,
Like there's always that slim hope that maybe somebody can reattach it, or
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like it's just gonna take it with me. It's gonna
Just
carry
in
it around
case.
in my pocket. Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
And
Even
before
if you
we
don't connect it properly and just super glue it,
yeah,
it's still there.
just a toothpick at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like what is it? Frankenhooker, just to sew it on and just have
yeah.
it. Just have it there.
Damn straight. But I do love the fact that, both street trashers have that dick humor in there, which is, great.
Yeah. That's why I said there was I had to do some nods to to the original, and there is, I think fans of the original will see there's a few nods there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Look, we'll wrap this up in a moment, but one thing I really wanted to touch upon just before we let you go is that you've also acted in a lot of films and worked with some massive directors like Danny Boyle and Neil Marshall and even Ozzy Don Dugan. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't remember, but I'm wondering, do you have any pinch me moments from your career as an actor?
Um, I think there's over the years there's been you know what's crazy? There's like I think over the years as you do stuff and there's certain dreams that or as a kid wanting to be an actor or a director and you get to like moments where I do appreciate the moment in the moment and then it becomes like it's just a part of your job and it's just a part of doing what you're doing and there I admire, certain people, but they're just like us. They're just, they live, breathe, and shit. And and I guess it's just one of those where I think I'll only get proper starstruck if I was with like Christopher Walken or something like that. I'll be like, oh my God, like Christopher Walken. But besides that, it's I mean, just recently. I did had a very small part in a film with Sam Rockwell, and I've always loved Sam Rockwell as an actor. He's brilliant, and it was just so cool to spend like a week there in a scene with him, and doing a little bit of dialogue. But it was like fucking cool because it was like Sam Rockwell, and I've always, ever since I watched The Green Mile, it was always that thing where I was like, "Fuck, this guy's gonna be big." And he
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he did end up being big, and that's the thing. So I guess there's those moments, here and there where I really, I guess, you admire certain people, and then the next thing you're working with these people. When I was working on Millions with Danny Boyle, I was in that film. I was basically a featured extra as a train thief. I think it was towards the end of the movie. And during the day, when I actually got the part, they didn't tell me who's directing it or anything. And I remember being in Liverpool Lime Street Station. I think I'd been out on the night before. I think it was my brother's birthday. And I remember just like lying with my head down. And I felt terrible. And all I knew was, oh, I'm in this film as a train robber with all these other like footballers. And then I remember looking up and I saw Danny Boyle walk past, and I was like, who's directing this film? Danny Boyle. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sleeping on a Danny Boyle set. Like, what the fuck? And then the rest of the day, I was like up and awake, and then obviously asking him questions. And then at the time he hit his or fractured his leg or broken his leg. I think he fractured his leg, and I helped him a few times with his wheelchair and everything because he was sitting in a wheelchair directing. And yeah, and it was just like a cool, random, very fucking weird day. So
That
yeah,
is so cool.
weird.
That's my favorite Danny Boyle movie. That one, I love it.
Yeah. It's
Undervalued.
yeah. Are we talking about the same film? Millions?
Millions, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No one ever says
No,
Millions is their favorite Danny Boyle film except for me.
no, because a lot of people get mixed up when I'd say that with
$1 Million Baby. Oh no,
Slumdog
yeah.
Millionaire.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Millions for me is it's like that Sunday movie. It's a Sunday movie, I think. It's like
Yeah.
100%. And James Nesbitt's like my favorite actor too. So it's just that marriage
he's
of
awesome.
things. I just love it.
Yeah.
100%. So I'm wondering, like, you've made Fried Barry, now Street Trash. What's next for you?
There's a few things in the talk at the moment. The We have been speaking about doing a reboot um, of Frankenhooker, actually. So
Oh wow.
there's a thing. It's not definite. We have the rights for it with the producers I work with. So um, I've done a whole pitch deck and everything for that, and they seem to really like it. So something might come from that. There's other scripts that I've got that I'm busy pushing as well, but you never know which one is going to come. And then I guess apart from that, I've also just finished. Well, should I say? I've just started to bring out a collection of experimental films that I actually shot before Fried Barry, but only releasing it now. So I'm looking forward to that. And then as soon as I finished Street Trash, I started on a very indie, black and white art house, gritty sort of film with Gary Green, who played Two-Bit and Fried Barry. So I've got like a half a day left of shooting that film, but it's very different than Street Trash. It's very different than Fried Barry. It's about this weirdo guy that wants to be an actor, but he's terrible at acting, and then he ends up going full method and like starts fucking killing people.
Awesome.
But it's
Nice.
yeah.
Is there a penis falling off scene in that film?
Not yet. Maybe I
Not
should
yet.
do that now.
He's still got one day to go.
Could be your signature.
That might be
Like
the
in
end of the
every-
film. That might be the climax.
But remember, he has to take it with him.
That's right.
He has to keep it. Yeah.
Puts it in his backpack,
Yeah.
and then he carries it.
You've always got to leave the door open for a sequel, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much for having a chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad this movie is out in the world, and I hope everybody goes and checks it out and has a ball with it. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed the movie. And I think, take a watch of the movie if you haven't seen it yet. And it's just a fun gore melt fest. Lots of comedy, lots of action. Watch it with friends. I always say it's a type of film. I think to watch it in a group is always better. But yeah, watch it. Let me know what you think.
Bring in volunteer number 85.
I'm still gonna get paid.
Volunteers receiving a dose of synthesized
Please don't put
substrate
that needle in me.
B282.
No, stop. Wait.
Citywide curfew is now in effect. You are ordered to remain in your homes and off the streets. Failure to comply will result in prosecution.
It's the 8th consecutive year of Mayor Mustard. Will he be re-elected?
mayhem in the city. Homeless are fighting against the government. People are fighting for their rights.
What the fuck?
There's another one! Go! Go!
No babies.
I present to you the crew, the most incredible crackheads that you'll ever meet.
I have reduced the number of homeless people in the city to basically zero.
The mayor's fucking melting people.
They're exterminating everybody. You are finally ready, my China. It's time.
We don't want this party turning into a massacre.
Massacre sounds good to me.
Fucking good, come here!